Hello and welcome to Canada Day Boo Snakes and More. Today we're going to be talking about the 15 best animated shows of all time. So please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And for more videos like this, watch my other house channel, A&A Snakes and Stuff. My youngest son's channel, Henny's Toys and Games, or my oldest son's channel, Little Kristen. Now let's dive into the video. Animated television goes back to the earliest days of the television medium itself, eventually ranging from crudely drawn and rotoscoped art styles to more sophisticated and computer-generated visuals. Animated programming has become just as far-reaching and novelist in its storytelling as its live-action counterparts, whether it's children's programming, anime, or more adult shows. And though it's an incredibly varied and extensive field, there are some shows that stand out above the rest. These are the shows that either push the boundaries of what animation on television could be and or have wonderfully endured the test of time, entertaining generations of audiences. For those wondering where the golden age of American animation properties like Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry are, remember those projects were primarily released as theatrical animated shorts. For the purposes of this article, we're sticking with animated properties that were produced and released as television shows. First and foremost, here are the 15 best animated shows of all time ranked, perfect for a rewatch or experiencing for the first time. Number 15, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? New Animation Studio, Hanna-Barbera, helped popularize American animated television for decades. Few of its properties have the same staying power as Scooby-Doo. The Talking Great Dane, with a serious case of the Munchies, made his debut in Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, which premiered in 1969. Voiced by Don Mesky, Scooby-Doo is joined by his friends as they travel the country in their van, solving mysteries along the way. Though the incidents they encounter initially appear to involve the paranormal, the gang's investigation always reveals a more practical culprit behind the scenes. Scooby-Doo was a tremendous hit for Hanna-Barbera, so the studio produced tons of similar shows, pairing a group of young adults and teens with a fantastical talking figure throughout the 70s. These shows ranged from Jabberjaw and Speed Buggy to Josie and the Pussycats, each offering their own spin on the formula. As for Scooby-Doo, the crime-solving canine became a television staple for the ensuing decades. Before the animated movie, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island marked the end of an era. Through the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Only ran for a handful of seasons. The show holds up and its influence defined its studio for years. Number 14, SpongeBob SquarePants. Of all the Nickelodeon properties that have been produced for the cable network, none quite possesses the same long-lasting quality and universal appeal of SpongeBob SquarePants. The show's tentacle character, played by Tom Kenny, lives in a pineapple under the sea in the town of Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob is joined by his best friends Patrick Star, Bill Fingerbangy, and Sandy Cheeks, Caroline Lawrence, as they get into misadventures together. These often spill over to SpongeBob's job, working as a cook for the local burger joint ran by Mr. Krabs, Clancy Brown, and SpongeBob's neighbor Squidward Tentacles, Roger Bumpass. For over 25 years, generations of children worldwide have been thrilled by SpongeBob SquarePants, which has become a cultural institution. With so many stories to choose from, everyone has their own favorite SpongeBob SquarePants episodes. While the show has become an endless reservoir for meme material that broader appears thanks to the show being unafraid to get weird with its characters and veer into the surreal and outright slapstick for its gags. A warm and thoroughly unclinical show, thanks to its cheerful, tighter character SpongeBob SquarePants, is as unlikely a figurehead for modern animation as he is for Bikini Bottom. Number 13, The Boondocks. Aaron McGardner's groundbreaking comic strip, The Boondocks, was adapted by Cartoon Network in 2005 as part of its older audience-oriented Adult Swim programming block. Retaining the comic's mega inspired art style, the show follows the Freemans, a black family living in a predominantly white American suburb. The show's protagonist is adolescent Huey Freeman, Regina King, who is wise beyond his years and constantly offering options about life and society around him. Huey is joined by his younger brother Riley King, who idolizes the episodes, a lifestyle more visibly influenced by gangster rap in contrast to his sibling. The Boondocks is a fantastic transition of McGurdy's comic strip, able to go deeper and sharper in its social community and themes through the creative freedom of its platform. At the same time, the show knew when to have fun with its concept and characters, providing everything from action to sports gags. Though there were plans to reveal the property, Adult Swim's The Boondocks reboot was canceled, leaving the Freeman's future uncertain for now. But as long as there are social injustices and frustrating ideologies, and there always will be, Huey and the Freemans will always have timely things to say about them. Number 12, Attack on Titan. One of the most intense anime shows of all time. Attack on Titan. Hime Izumi's manga series. The story is set in a steampunk fantasy world where humans shifted themselves in cities protected by tall walls to keep out titans. Ravenous giants roaming the countryside after losing his mother to the titans. Protagonist Evan Yeager joins an elite military squad trained specifically to combat the monsters. As drawn into the conflict as it expands, he learns his own disturbing connections to the Titans' origins. For all spectacle, Attack on Titan is a meditation of war and the inherited nature of violence across generations. There is an epic intensity to the series, with every victory hard-earned and mirrored in heartbreaking losses along the way. Evan and his friends stand at the center of this, providing this fantastical setup with its wounded emotional core. The best anime streaming on Attack on Titan brings plenty of fire and fury as it weaves its mysteriously fantasy story. 11. Rick and Morty. When it comes to absolutely bonkers comedy geared towards an older audience, no show does it better than Rick and Morty. The series revolves around mad scientist Rick Sanchez and his perpetually anxious grandson Morty Smith. Rick's experiments often involve exploration into the multiverse, as he and Morty constantly find themselves in interdimensional hijinks. This is Jet posed with the ongoing dynamic the duo have with Morty's nuclear family, with Rick's work impacting it in surprising ways. The best Rick and Morty episodes take full advantage of its weird science premise of getting wonderfully odd with its core concept, making that work is constantly strong writing, simultaneously spoofing and celebrating classic sci-fi stories like Back to the Future. For as bizarre as the series gets, and it gets bizarre all the time, it maintains its own quirky emotional nuisances, a magic mystery tour of the multiverse that proudly lets its freak flag fly. Rick and Morty, completely reinnovated Cartoon Network's Adult Swim programming block. Number 10, Dexter's Laboratory. As Cartoon Network began to produce its own original animated series, one of its earliest is still one of its best, created by Gertie Tarasky. Dexter's Laboratory centers on boy genius Dexter, who secretly maintains a carnivorous laboratory in his bedroom to conduct his experiments. These inventions are often carried by Dexter's older sister Dee Dee, who loves disrupting her brother's activities. This is Jet proposed, with Dexter using his gadgets to solve everyday issues, and growing up from dealing with bullies to particularly rough games of dodgeball. Just like its pint-sized inventor character, Dexter's Laboratory is one of the most imaginative shows Tarasky has created, wearing its pop culture influences on sleeve. The series veers into everything from sci-fi action to more than just one of the best Cartoon Network shows from the 2000s. Dexter's Laboratory remains a modern marvel in animation. Of course, expect more from Tarasky and his celebrated animation career. Elsewhere on this list. Number 9, The Simpsons. On the air for over 38 years, The Simpsons has become a verified cultural institution, long outgrowing its roots on a comedy sketch show. For the Somehow Unlimited, the show follows a typical suburban family in the American town of Springfield. Family patriarch Homer Simpson, Dan Castellaneta, and his son Bart, Nancy Cartwright, are the primary sources of the family's hijinks. With their harebrained antics, as the show progresses, Springfield's citizenry fills out a wider community that gets in on the Simpsons family's fun. After beating the incredible record set by Gunsmoke, The Simpsons became the longest-running scripted prime television show in America. The longevity is fueled by some truly timeless episodes and iconic characters that have endured themselves audiences with hilarious gags for decades. For any show of its length, the series definitely has its weaker seasons, but the enduring appeal behind the extensive cast remains largely intact. The television staple that has long since earned its place in the pathogen of greatest sitcoms for any medium, The Simpsons is as American as apple pie. Number 8, Samurai Jack. Animator Gertie Tarasky came up with Samurai Jack when he was 10 years old. And his childhood musings crusaded into an animated series in 2001. The tentacle samurai, played by Phil Lehman, confronts an earthworld demon, Ikea Miko, in feudal Japan, with Ikea using magic to transport Jack into the future to avoid defeat in this dystopian timeline. Akia has conquered humanity for centuries, with Jack contending with his millions. Out of his element, Jack scours the future for a way to return to his own time and defeat Akia to prevent this future from coming to pass. Any inkling of impression set pieces Tarasky crafted for Dexter's laboratory are completely blown out of the water by what he brought to Samurai Jack. Tarasky opts for a more striking art style for his sci-fi fantasy series, tightly choreographing the action around Jack as he tries to return home. As a testament to its greatness, Samurai Jack currently stands as Metrotalic's highest rated animated TV show. The series is unquestionably one of the best things Tarasky and Cartoon Network have ever done. Number 7, Arcane. Riot Games' hit online title League of Leagues was adapted into the starring steampunk fantasy series Arcane, premiering in 2021 on Netflix. The story focuses on a bitter war between the city of Pitover and its neglected and impoverished undercity. Dylan, at the center of this conflict, are exchange sisters V and Jinx, with the fate of both communities hanging in the balance. The devastating war is escalated by an arcane magic known as Hextech, which threatens to completely obliterate the cities due to its violent nature. It's breathtaking how visually stunning Arcane is, not only doing the source material justice, but creating an expansive world full of colorful characters. This is highlighted by stylized opening sequences and montages that set the mood and a tone that veers from swashbuckling action to outright horror. But ultimately, this is a story about sisterhood and all the triumph and ugly nuisances that come with it. A pitch-perfect video game show, Arcane goes far beyond what most would have expected from a League of Leagues adaptation. You don't have to until school starts again Tuesday. It's breathtaking how visually stunning Arcane is. Not only doing the source material justice, but creating an expansive world full of colorful characters. This is highlighted by stylized opening sequences and montages that set the mood and a tone that veers from swashbuckling action to outright horror. But ultimately, this is a story about sisterhood and all the triumph and ugly nuisances that come with it. A pitch-perfect video game TV show, Arcane goes far beyond what most would have expected from a League of Legends adaptation. Number 6, BoJack Horseman. One of the sharpest stallions of Hollywood in recent years is the Netflix original animated series BoJack Horseman. The show is set in a world where talking, arithmophoretic animals live and work alongside humans, including in various roles throughout the entertainment industry. The titular middle-aged horse is played by Will Arnett, deemed to regain his former career glory after starring in a 90s sitcom. However, BoJack's tendency to self-medicate through sex and substance abuse as well as his steady worsening mental health, threatens both his professional and personal lives. BoJack Horseman is immediately a tutorial mishmash, retaining its sight gags and core gimmick while delivering absolutely so drama. BoJack's destructive spiral, especially in its impact on others around him, is an unrelating heartbreak, but the show also, however, forgets that a significant of its cast are animals and leans into the inherent comedy there too. BoJack Horseman changed the animation game in mixing humor and tragedy in equal measures while constantly poking forward. Number 5. Avatar: The Last Airbender. After years of primarily producing comedy, show Nickelodeon delivered a full-on magical epic with The Last Airbender. The 2-5 series is set in a fantasy world divided into 4 kingdoms based on the classical elements of air, fire, and earth. Individuals have the power to control elements known as bending, while a mythical figure known as the Avatar can bend all the elements to maintain harmony between them. The show opens with a prophesized Avatar awakened from suspended animation to contend with the Fire Nation as it moves to conquer the other factions. A series that never talked down to its target audience, Avatar: The Last Airbender, substantially changed kids' shows forever. The series built an expansive mythology that triggered heavy themes and huge character arcs, not just for Angie, but also his intentional rival Zorko. These plot threads were picked up by the similarly well-received sequel series, The Legend of Korra, building upon the established mythology and turning the central story into a generational one. An epic that merges the delicate balance of keeping things family friendly while still providing tangible consequences for strikes. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a fantasy series triumph. Technically, yes, you're a child. Even though you're a teenager, you're still a child. Yes, you are a teen. But that doesn't mean you can drink all the soda. You still have to share it with your brother. Number 4, Dragon Ball.
He said, let me do whatever I want. Nobody won't let me do whatever I want.
Because you're not an adult.
I'm not even going to.
You can't do whatever you want until you're an adult.
And no, even adults.
Yes, there are multiple animated series within the wider Dragon Ball franchise, but they're all part of a shared narrative tapestry by its late creator, the legendary Akira Toriyama. The story follows gifted martial artist Goku, who constantly finds thrills in training himself to grow stronger and fight against progressively more powerful opponents. In the sequel series, Dragon Ball Z, Goku discovers his extraterrestrial origins while raising his family, significantly escalating the intensity and scope of his battles. As the story progresses, Goku ascends in power, and his list of allies grows in time for them to face enemies from the cosmos, alternate timelines, and parallel universes. Dragon Ball is one of the most deceptively malleable anime properties ever conceived. Starting out as a comedic fantasy story, after the original series, the franchise veers more into occultic science fiction, while the tone grows more serious. Since then, the tone and genre stabilizers have jumped around as the franchise was revived by the series Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Dynama. Dragon Ball is somehow even better than its legacy would suggest, with every series in the franchise feeling just as vital to the overachieving experience in creating the ultimate anime property. Number 3, Primal. If it isn't evident already, we absolutely love the work of Gertie Traskey here at Film, and that extends to his ongoing series Primal. The show is set in a fantasy version of the prehistoric era, following the strange friendship between a Neanderthal man, Spar, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex, Fang. The duo meet and bond after they lose their respective families to the same ravenous dinosaur, forming an unlikely pair to avenge them and survive together. As the story advances, more overly fantastical elements begin to surface, including ancient civilizations and the growing role of magic. Primer is Grudy Tarasky's raging, and devastating magnum opus, delivering a more mature epic than he had with Samurai Jack. The violence is much more graphic and visceral, with the fight sequences almost breaking the studio, with how well crafted and technically impressive they are. Spar and Fang themselves are largely silent, adding to the stripped down beauty of their relationship. The instant classic Grudy Tarasky was born to make. Primal is a fantasy adventure masterpiece. Number 2, Batman the Animated Series. The start of the DC Animated Universe. 1992's Batman the Animated Series depicts DC's iconic superhero in an Art Deco version of Gotham City. With its cascade against crime already well underway, Batman, Kevin Conroy, defends his city from a wave of deadly supervillains. This includes nefarious figures like the Joker, Mark Hamill, Two-Face, Richard Moore, and Mr. Freeze, Michael Eskin, each with their own sinister plans for Gotham. Joining the Dark Knight are his lawyer allies Robin, Lauren Lester, Alfred Pennyworth, Eham Limbius Jr., and Commissioner Jim Gordon, Bob Hastings. Batman the Animated Series set a continuingly benchmark for what's possible with superhero cartoons, delivering one of the purest adaptations of the comic book character to date. By invoking a timeless era with its art style and leaning hard into the properties, pop fiction, and noir abilities, the show has wonderfully stood the test of time. Like Samurai Jack or Avatar: The Last Airbender, the show takes its stories and strikes seriously, but keeps the proceedings all age friendly, with plenty of essential episodes showcasing its outstanding quality. Batman the Animated Series changed the way we look at superheroes, especially in regard to animation. Number 1, Cowboy Bebop. As hyperbolic as it might sound, Cowboy Bebop truly is an unadulterated masterpiece, not just in anime but animated television. Regardless of the country of origin, the show is set in a near future where much of the solar system has been colonized through lawlessness. The lawlessness runs rampant in many off-world communities. The story stars Spike Spiegel, who leads a crew of fellow bounty hunters to track down notorious criminals for cash rewards. As the momentary ensemble's adventures continue, elements of their respectively painful paths resurface to haunt them. With a stylish presentation, effectively jazzy soundtrack, and tightly choreographed action, Cowboy Bebop is a singular marvel in animation. One of its biggest strengths is that the Cowboy Bebop team tried to make every episode feel unique, with installments ranging from slapstick comedy to sci-fi horror. Guiding the story through these tone changes are a small group of memorable characters who complement each other's dysfunctions perfectly. Over 20 years later, Cowboy Bebop feels better than ever, with the valuable anime series having never lost a step. Thank you for watching this video, and peace out till the next one.